I'm starting off by realigning my warp threads. Some of them have moved out of the shed stick, so I'm just putting them back. Next, I'm going to weave a few rows of Plainweave. As a reminder, I use my shed stick to make the shed wider. I pass my shuttle through, and then I beat each row down. Next, I'm going to show you how to weave without a shuttle. So I'm using my t-shirt yarn here, and I'm just going to pass it slowly underneath each thread. I'm still using the shed stick because it gives my fingers a little more room to pass it through. Once I have it all the way to the other side, I can pull it the rest of the way through. Then I fix my tension, beat it down, and change my shed. The next thing I want to show you is how to weave without the shed stick. So to take it out, the first thing I'm going to do is loosen either of the ends. Just take away some of the tension. And I'm going to rotate it in just a little bit, not too much. You want to maintain some tension. You just want it loose enough in order to be able to pull that out. Then I'm going to tighten this back up. I'm actually going to tighten both ends. So this one a little bit, tighten that back up. And the other end. And the reason I'm doing that is so that I have flexibility on both ends and so that each end points out as much as possible to maintain that tension. So now without that shed stick in the middle, I can choose whichever threads I'd like. I'm going to do a 2x2 pattern. Now you could reconfigure your shed stick in this case to do 2x2 by putting 2 threads in one slot and vice versa. But when you take out the shed stick and you hand pick each thread, you have a lot more flexibility. So if you want speed, I would leave the shed stick in. If you want to do more complex patterns and other stitches, then I would have the loom in this configuration. Here I'm doing the same pattern, I'm just using my shuttle stick to assist me. This next technique is fun because it doesn't utilize the full width of the warp. So here I'm just finding the center of my warp. All right, so the first thread, I'm only using one warp thread. So I passed my weft underneath and twisted it. Next, I'm going to only utilize the center 3 threads. I'll zoom in a little bit here, so hopefully you can see what I'm talking about. So for this, I'm just using the Plainweave pattern, over 1, under 1. And then I make sure that using these 3 that I reverse it so that they lock in. Because my weft here is thin, I'm doing a few rows using just the 3 warp threads, and then I will increase it out to 5. And you can see here I cut a shorter length of thread so that it wouldn't get in the way, so that I'm only dealing with this little piece. So here I've expanded out to 5 threads. There's no rule, you can do whatever you want. I just wanted a gradual increase. Every few rows, I increase by 1 thread to each side, so 2 in total. And I'll get a little bit of a wedge pattern happening here. And you'll notice I'm really trying not to draw it in. I'm fixing the tension, so my warp threads are still an equal distance from each other. That is the finished section. I just decided to use up the length of the yarn I had cut off. But you could keep going, you could bring it back in, you could go even farther out, whatever you want. So next, I want to deal with these side sections. I'm going to do a wrap on the warp threads. So here I'm just counting how many warp threads I can put in each bundle. Again, moving in towards the center. So I'm going to do about 3 or 4 threads. It doesn't divide evenly, but that's fine because it's just going to be wrapped. So to start this off, after trying to get this to stay with just a wrap, I'm going to recommend tying a overhand knot. So just tie it in a knot, loosely if you want to take it out, but it's really fine to leave it in. And now I'm just going to wrap several times around the warp threads. I chose to do about 4 wraps for each section, but you could again do this all the way up if you'd like. I was trying to take out the knot here because I thought it was bulky, but that is not a necessary step. All right, so then to move on, I pick up my next bundle and I'm passing my yarn under. You could go over, just maintain the same pattern each time, unless you want an irregular pattern. It's really up to you. Go nuts. After each wrap, just tighten it up to the tension you want. Make sure it's placed where you want it to go. And then move on to the next section. And to finish it off, just tie a knot and snip it off. There you go. Now I'll do the other side and we'll move on to another technique. So that is another section complete. For my next technique, I'm going to put the shed stick back in, which is also a fun thing to learn how to do. So I'm loosening the tension. I bring my shed stick underneath, put it in place. And now I'm going to tighten this back up. Tension is your friend when you are dealing with warp threads. So then I'm just going to put them all back in the proper slots so that I can do a plain weave row again. Everything is back in place. I'm going to once more check my tension, try and get this as tight as I can. And then I will be ready for my next technique, which will be in another video. Hope you enjoyed these techniques.